am thrilled to welcome you to the Bright Mind Sleep e-learning program. It is my hope that this program will improve your life at home and work by teaching you how to shift your circadian rhythm to match your shift. Before getting started, I wanted to cover a few points with you to help you get the most out of this program. This e-learning program takes most people about 1 hour to complete. Feel free to move at your own pace. At this time, your course access has started, and you will have access to the course content for the next 30 days. Throughout the course, you will find interactive games geared to improve your learning experience and test your knowledge. An 80% pass rate is required to move on in the course. If this is your first e-learning program, don't worry. We have a helpful navigation page that will orient you to the education platform before you begin. If you have a specific question about the course, you may join me on our private Facebook page, Bright Mind Sleep Group. This group is open to anyone who has completed or is currently enrolled in the course. Feel free to reach out with questions. If you have technical questions, please reach out to customer service. We are here to help. 1. You will learn about the importance of sleep for shift workers. You will also learn how shift lag is much like jet lag, and if you have at least 2 weeks on the same shift, including your days off, you may adjust to your work schedule, much like you do when traveling to a new time zone. In Section 2, you will learn what it means to shift your circadian rhythm and the importance of being aligned with your body's internal clock. In Section 3, we will review the most common coping skills or countermeasures used by shift workers to get through the night shift and sleep during the day. In Section 4, you will learn step by step how to shift your circadian rhythm for the night shift, what to do on your days off, and how to adjust back to working days. In Section 5, you will learn how to stay safe while working shifts. This is an education program and not considered a form of treatment. So we have also included a list of questions to print and discuss with your family doctor to create a plan that is right for you. These steps will ultimately help you to sleep better, work better, and live better. Section 1, Introduction to Sleep and Shift Work. If you have ever traveled across time zones, you can relate to the experience of someone who works shifts. While traveling can be fun and interesting, it can also result in terrible jet lag. Jet lag for the world traveler is much like shift lag for the shift worker. Jet lag occurs when your circadian rhythm is slow to adjust to the new time zone. A circadian rhythm is another term for our body's internal clock, which guides when we wake, sleep, and eat in a 24-hour period. For most people, it takes about 3 to 4 days to reset our body's clock to a new wake-sleep schedule for travel or work. This explains why for the first few days of being in a new time zone or on a new shift, we may feel wide awake when we need to be sleeping, and we feel extremely sleepy when we need to be working. Shift workers often struggle not only to stay alert on the night shift, but also to sleep well during the day. This is because the human brain is naturally set to be awake with the sun and sleep with the moon. And unless you shift your circadian rhythm for night work, you will always be fighting against your body's clock. As a shift worker, while you don't have the sun on your side to help you adjust, you can effectively reset your body's clock to match your new schedule. Light is a powerful regulator of the circadian rhythm, and light helps our brains adjust to the new schedule. Some of the most vital and important jobs in our society require coverage around the clock. Shift work has many different faces and structures depending on the demands of the job. Shift work refers to non-standard work schedules, including permanent and intermittent night work, early morning work, evening work, and rotating work schedules. If you are a shift worker, you are at risk for sleep problems that could impact your health, performance, and safety. We tend to think of sleep as a time when the mind and body shut down, but sleep is actually a very active period when information is being processed, memories are being consolidated, and tissues in the body are being repaired. And without it, we just don't function as well. While much about sleep remains a mystery, we do know enough to realize that it is vital for our mental and physical well-being. We also feel better, concentrate better, and do better on memory tasks when we have had adequate sleep. Our sleep demands change as we age. The National Sleep Foundation recently released new sleep recommendations for age groups across the lifespan. As you can see, as we age, we need less and less sleep, but that the average adult still needs between 7 and 9 hours of sleep to function optimally. While 8 hours is the average recommended amount, 7 is the recommended lowest amount for most adults. Shift workers are at risk for sleeping less than the recommended average. So how prevalent is shift work in North America? In the U.S., 153 million people are employed. Of those working Americans, 40 million are working around the clock. That is 27% of employed Americans working non-standard hours. So as you can see, nearly 30% of workers in North America are at risk for the development of circadian misalignment and the problems it creates, otherwise known as shift work sleep disorder. In Canada, there are 14.6 million people employed. Of those working Canadians, 4.1 million are working around the clock. That is almost 30% of working Canadians. Between 50 and 70 million North Americans have a sleep disorder of some kind. Sleep loss related to shift work is pervasive and thus an important public health problem. Shift workers are known to have more sleep-related problems than the general population, including difficulty falling asleep, not getting enough sleep, and sleepiness during work hours. While there are many different types of sleep disorders, the most common for those who work shifts is shift work sleep disorder. Let's learn more about it. Let's talk about the symptoms of shift work sleep disorder. The hallmark symptoms of shift work sleep disorder are excessive sleepiness at night when you need to be working, and chronic insomnia for daytime sleep. Poor concentration, sleep that is not refreshing, depressed mood, fatigue, a major loss of energy, irritability, and problems with their personal or social relationships. Let's talk about excessive sleepiness for a moment. This is very different from the natural dip in energy experienced by most of us during the day. We all feel a little sluggish after lunch and toward the end of the day, but that feeling is short-lived and rather temporary. Those with shift work sleep disorder usually feel excessively sleepy all the time, not just at specific or brief points of the day. Rather, it's more of a constant feeling. Further, it has major impacts on work and home life, and it is an ongoing problem that many shift workers have no idea can be helped. Section 2, understanding your circadian rhythm. What is a circadian rhythm? Nearly all forms of life have an internal clock regulating when we wake, eat, and sleep in a 24-hour cycle. Let's take a look at what happens when your circadian rhythm is aligned or misaligned. Human beings are innately diurnal, meaning that for thousands of years, our brains have been wired to be awake during the day and sleep at night, which means that when we are working shifts, we are essentially working against our internal body clock. No matter what time zone we move into, our body adjusts to its diurnal nature by taking cues from the sun and aligns with the time of day. Like a predictable machine, you can see from this chart that at 6 a.m., our brain signals secretion of cortisol and tells us that it's time to wake up and have something to eat. Between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., we experience our fastest increase in blood pressure, highest levels of alertness, best coordination, and fastest reaction times. Between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., we begin to wind down and we experience our highest levels of blood pressure. Our brain secretes melatonin, a hormone that tells us it's time to prepare for sleep, and we experience our deepest state of sleep and lowest body temperature at night. Ideally, shift workers can also align with the night shift so that they can experience the benefits of alertness at night and deep sleep during the day. This is possible if you shift your circadian rhythm for the night shift. So as you can see, internally, when a shift worker is misaligned, they are trying to work when the brain is naturally producing chemicals to induce sleep. And in the morning, they are trying to get daytime sleep when the brain is promoting active alertness. So much like when a car is out of alignment, everything else starts to break down, the same is true for our bodies. If we are out of alignment, internally, we start to malfunction. The body's ability to repair and recover cellular damage done during the daytime is affected if our sleep schedule is erratic, irregular, or reduced. So unless a shift worker knows how to trick their brain and shift their circadian rhythm for the night shift, they will constantly be working against their internal clock, and this could increase their risk for health problems as seen above. Section 3. Most common coping skills and countermeasures used by shift workers. Let's learn about the pros and cons of each of the following countermeasures: stimulants, sleeping pills, melatonin, and naps. Caffeine is the world's most widely consumed psychoactive drug. Most of us consume this stimulant nearly every day in the form of coffee, tea, soda, and chocolate. Caffeine works to keep us alert by blocking the action of the chemical adenosine in the brain. There are also stimulant medications such as modafinil that are sometimes prescribed for those suffering with shift work sleep disorder. This medication may help to promote wakefulness and reduce the feeling of excessive sleepiness. While many shift workers lean on caffeine or stimulant medication to feel more alert at night, the relief is temporary and does not solve the underlying problem of circadian misalignment. Further, stimulants do not improve your ability to sleep during the day and may be harmful for women who are trying to become pregnant. Now let's talk a little bit about sleeping pills. Many shift workers turn to using sleeping pills or sedatives to help them get more daytime sleep. While sleeping pills do help to increase total sleep time, the additional sleep time does not improve alertness, and performance problems persist on the night shift. So while sleeping pills do increase sleep duration or total sleep time, they really don't solve the problem of circadian misalignment, and difficulties with alertness persist. Melatonin is a hormone that our brain produces naturally to help to regulate our sleep-wake cycle. Melatonin is also found as an over-the-counter supplement and can be used for the short-term treatment of difficulty sleeping, such as found with jet lag or shift work. Many shift workers do use melatonin to help to induce sleep. However, similar to sleeping pills, this does not solve the problem of circadian misalignment or help to improve alertness on the night shift. let's talk about naps. Power naps, 20 to 30 minutes in length, during the first half of your first few night shifts has been found to considerably reduce sleepiness on your shift and improve worker performance at night. Unfortunately, due to the nature of your work, you may not have the opportunity to sleep, the location to sleep, or be allowed to take a nap on your night shift. If you're working an 8-hour shift at night, you may be able to squeeze in a 1 to 2 hour nap before going into work, and I highly recommend that. However, most 12-hour shift workers do not have enough time between the time they wake up in the afternoon and the time they head into work to get in a nap. So if you can advocate for yourself with your employer to get in a 20-minute nap, especially during the first few night shifts of your cycle, you really may benefit from that. So while these countermeasures are helpful in reducing symptoms, they do not solve the underlying problem. So what is the solution? Shifting your circadian rhythm for the night shift. If you work at least 2 weeks on the same shift, including your days off, you are a candidate for shifting your circadian rhythm for the night shift. Once you learn how, you may still use these countermeasures as directed by your doctor to feel even better. Section 4, how to shift your circadian rhythm for night work. The only way to effectively feel focused and alert at night and sleep well during the day is to shift your circadian rhythm. As a shift worker, the potential benefits of shifting your circadian rhythm speak for themselves. You may feel more alert and well rested, have fewer sleep-related accidents, have an improved attendance at work, a better mood overall, improved health, more energy for family, work, and your social life, feel less fatigued, be more productive, and have improved job satisfaction as a shift worker.
So, how can I feel more alert on my night shift? How do I maximize my sleep during the day? What time do I go to sleep on my days off? How do I shift my circadian rhythm? The following steps will teach you how.
All right, so let's talk about what it will look like if you start to shift your circadian rhythm for the night shift. First of all, you don't want to wait until the day of your first night shift to begin the process. If you have a few days off in advance of your first night shift, I suggest using those adjustment days to your advantage. Begin to adjust to a later bedtime a few days in advance if possible. Likewise, try and wake up a little bit later than you usually would as well. This will really help make it easier for you on your first few night shifts. Next, make sure that you give yourself some afternoon sunlight exposure. This will not only boost your energy, but start to, trick the brain into believing that this is your morning sunlight. Also, try not to get too much morning sunlight on those first few days before your first night shift. That will also help you to shift your circadian rhythm. Next, if allowed, take a power nap in the first half of your night shift on at least the first few shifts. The time to advocate with your employer to have a power nap at work will be on your first few night shifts. Next, if permitted to do so by your doctor, get some artificial bright light exposure at night. This actually tricks the brain into believing it's getting sunlight exposure or daylight exposure. And as you know, we are very much regulated by light. Bright light boxes are the equivalent of what we would experience on a cloudy day. You don't have to worry about getting a suntan from these boxes, and you don't even have to look directly into the boxes. They just need to be within a few feet of you while you're doing some paperwork, 5 to 10 minute bursts of exposure up to 1 hour over the first half of your night shift. That will really help to boost your energy and shift your rhythm for working nights. Lastly, if you use caffeine, make sure to limit that caffeine intake after 4 a.m. to make sure you're not going to interfere with your daytime sleep. This is a little bit different when you're working days, but for night work, making sure to stop your caffeine usage by 4 a.m. will maximize your daytime sleep. Controlling the light is an important part of shifting your circadian rhythm. This is achieved by blocking morning sunlight after a night shift and creating artificial light at night when you need to be alert and working. Next, let's talk about the importance of using blue light blocking sunglasses and how this helps us to shift our circadian rhythm. One of the biggest mistakes that shift workers make is getting lots of daylight exposure on their way home after a night shift. When this happens, your brain will start programming itself to be alert and awake, and it will make it much more difficult for you to fall asleep when you get home to your dark bedroom. Therefore, it is essential that you block exposure of sunlight to your brain by wearing blue light blocking sunglasses in areas of the workplace with a lot of natural light, or when walking between buildings after sunrise, or if you will be working outside when the sun comes up. In addition, wearing them on your commute home is essential until you get home to your blacked out bedroom. Not all sunglasses are blue light blocking, so it's very important to ensure that your sunglasses or safety eyewear has been certified as blocking 99% of blue light, otherwise known as the same type of light that we get from the sun. Most blue light blockers are yellow, amber, or espresso in color and wrap around your eyes and block side light from entering as well. Next, let's talk about bright light. Exposure to artificial bright light at night by using a bright light box is helpful to shifting your circadian rhythm and improving alertness at night. You are essentially tricking your brain to believing that you are in a new time zone and it is daytime. In most cases, having short periods near the light up to 1 hour of total light time during the first half of your shift is enough to reap the benefits. We suggest that you always refer to the light box manufacturer's instructions for proper usage, as each light is created differently.
I will be working nights for the next 2 weeks. My schedule will begin at 7 p.m. and end at 7 a.m. Help me shift my circadian rhythm to maximize my alertness at night. Let's play.
Question 1. Is there anything I can do a few days in advance of my first night shift to help me adjust? Question 2. During the afternoon, before I work my night shift, Question 3. How can I reduce the sleepy feeling I have on my first few night shifts? Question 4. Exposure to artificial daylight with a bright light box will help me. Question 5. How long should I spend by the bright light during the first half of my shift? Question 6. To improve alertness on the night shift, I can drink coffee.
Congratulations! Now you know the golden rules for working nights. You know how to use adjustment days to your advantage, how and when to nap, how to get artificial light at night to shift your body's clock to a later period, and when it's best to use other countermeasures such as caffeine. All of these rules will help you stay alert and adjust to working nights.
Next, we're going to talk about managing your days off during a period of night shifts. Most shift workers will constantly flip-flop. They will just push through the night shift, and then as soon as they get a day off, they will revert back to their typical wake-sleep schedule. Well, this defeats the point of shifting your circadian rhythm. It is essential, if you shift your circadian rhythm, that you maintain a later bedtime even on your days off. You don't necessarily have to stay up until 7 a.m. on your days off. It is actually enough to stay up until 3 a.m. and sleep until 12 noon the next day to keep your circadian rhythm shifted to the later sleep phase. It is also referred to as maintaining a state of partial alignment. Some workers will say that they don't want to miss any precious time with their family in the morning, but if you think of the long-term health benefits of circadian alignment, you will be getting many more years with your loved ones if you sacrifice those mornings as protected time for sleep. I assure you that you will have lots of time later in the day for family and that you'll be more well rested and feeling better as a result.
What should I remember to do in the morning after a night shift?
Next, we will review steps to take in the morning after a night shift. It's very important in the morning to avoid morning light exposure. You can do this by wearing blue light blocking sunglasses approved for driving on the way home after a night shift. This will ensure that your brain does not get re-exposed to morning sunlight and so that your brain prepares itself for daytime sleep. After you get home to your blacked out bedroom, you want to make sure you get to sleep as soon as you can following a night shift. Delay activities such as shopping, childcare, housework, and exercise for later if possible. If it absolutely cannot be delayed, just make sure to wear your blue light blocking sunglasses until you're finished with the activity and home to your blacked out bedroom. Next, we want to make sure that your bedroom is completely blocked of light. It is a light tight bedroom. This will help to maximize your sleep opportunity during the day and minimize your sunlight exposures so that your brain believes that it is nighttime and ready for bed. Lastly, ensuring that you've blocked the noise by using a white noise machine or a fan, limiting visitors, and turning off your cell phone is very important. And finally, making sure to manage those days off so that you stay up late even on your days off during a night shift. It will make it easier for you to return to your next night of work.
I just worked all night and I'm leaving work soon. Help me shift my circadian rhythm to maximize my daytime sleep today. Let's play.
Question 1. What is blue light? Question 2. Why should I use blue light blocking sunglasses? Question 3. When should I wear blue light blocking sunglasses? Question 4. What should I do when I get home after my night shift? Question 5. How should I manage my sleep environment? Question 6. How can you manage noise at home when sleeping during the day?
Congratulations!
Next, we will learn how to shift back to working days when your night shift is over. The first step you're going to take is to restrict your sleep slightly to promote an earlier bedtime on your last night shift. So after that last night shift, you would go home, go to bed, and rather than sleeping until, say, 4 p.m., you'd want to wake up closer to 2:30. That way, you're priming yourself to be ready for an earlier bedtime that night. Next, you want to use the next few days as your adjustment days, starting to shift your bedtime and wake time earlier and earlier a few days in advance of your first day back at work. It's important to get exposure to morning sunlight over the next few weeks. This will again help you to reset your circadian rhythm for the day shift and sleeping at night. You can do this by sitting by a window, taking a walk outside, or taking a morning break outside. 20 minutes of early morning sunlight will do wonders for resetting your circadian rhythm. Lastly, limit caffeine intake within 7 hours of bedtime. So if your usual bedtime is, say, 10 p.m., just make sure to stop your caffeine use at 3 p.m. to ensure that it doesn't interrupt with your nighttime sleep. Again, it's still very important to keep a blacked out bedroom. Sleep in a very dark bedroom at night if possible. Question 1. After my last night shift, I should go to sleep around 8:30 a.m. and wake up at 2:30 p.m. instead of sleeping until 4 p.m. Question 2. If I have a few days off between my night shift and my day shift, it is best to Question 3. To reset my circadian rhythm back to working days, it is helpful for my brain to get exposure to morning sunlight by Question 4. How do I reset my circadian rhythm if I drive to work in the early morning hours and the sun is not up yet? Question 5. If I drink coffee, tea, or any caffeinated beverage during my day shift, I should stop drinking caffeine. Question 6. The best way to maximize your sleep at night is to
Congratulations! Now you know the golden rules for shifting your circadian rhythm back to working day shift. You understand how to restrict your sleep for an earlier bedtime, the importance of morning light exposure, how and when to use caffeine, and how to maximize your sleep environment.
Managing your sleep environment by blocking exposure to sunlight and outside noise is essential for shifting your rhythm and increasing your total sleep time. First, let's talk about tips for creating a light, tight bedroom. I highly recommend that you invest in blackout curtains. You may also choose to build a small valance over the top of your window to block light from escaping the top of the curtain, and invest in side light blocking curtain rods that actually wrap around to the sides of the window, blocking any light from coming in the sides. Alternatively, you can use an inexpensive option by taping black garbage bags inside your bedroom and bathroom windows for the weeks that you're working shifts. Next, let's talk about tips for managing noise when you're trying to sleep during the day. I highly recommend investing in a white noise machine. When a white noise machine is placed inside your bedroom, it will filter or screen noises outside the bedroom. So when you have your white noise machine on, it makes it more difficult to hear people talking in other areas of the house, birds chirping outside, lawnmowers, car doors slamming, and other typical sounds that you would hear during the day. Alternatively, an inexpensive option would be to purchase a large box fan from your local hardware store. When working at night and sleeping during the day, it can be helpful to post quiet zone reminders in the house to remind family members that you are sleeping. It is also smart to limit visitors to the house and phone calls when you need to be getting your sleep. Posting signs on the door to remind neighbors and mail delivery not to ring the doorbell is a great way to limit unnecessary and unexpected sleep disturbance. Placing rugs in the hall outside your room or other places of the house that noise carries can help to mask noise and footsteps on hardwood floors. Remember, most people are up and awake and living their life during the day. You are the exception, so it's important to place reminders so you can maximize your sleep. Section 5, Safety Considerations. First, let's talk about transportation. It's very important to be safe after a night shift. If possible, arrange for someone to pick you up and drive you home after your first few night shifts. Consider Uber and taxi services. Consider asking your spouse or a friend to drive you to and from work for your first week returning to the night shift. While some employers can assist with transportation, it is just too expensive for some companies to afford. At the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself by ensuring that you do not drive when excessively sleepy. When in doubt, pull over and take a nap, or nap at work before commuting home if you are feeling sleepy. Let's talk about meetings. Request that all mandatory meetings be held in the afternoon. That way, if you're working nights, you'll have time to go home and get the sleep that you need before coming back to work for a meeting. If you work rotating shifts, advocate with your employer for a slow rotation, or at least 2 weeks on the same shift, including your days off, so that you will have the opportunity to shift your circadian rhythm for shift work. This will ensure that you are safer, healthier, and more alert when you are working. Let's review some important information about melatonin and bright light. Bright light is not recommended for certain individuals: those with migraines, those who have existing eye disease, those with bipolar disorder, and those taking medications that make them more sensitive to light. If you cannot use bright light, it is still possible to shift your circadian rhythm if you block morning sunlight and manage your days off effectively. Melatonin is not recommended for women who are pregnant or who are trying to become pregnant, those who operate heavy machinery unless pre-approved and tested with your family doctor, those with gastrointestinal disease, asthma, or those with breathing problems. In all cases, you should check with your family physician before you use a bright light box or melatonin. Meeting with your family doctor. At this time, you should schedule an appointment with your family doctor who knows your medical history and may best advise you regarding the use of artificial bright light, blue light blocking sunglasses, melatonin, stimulants such as caffeine or modafinil, and any other countermeasures that have been reviewed in this workshop. It is important that you speak with your doctor about your plan to improve your circadian alignment when working shifts and to rule out that you potentially may have any other underlying sleep disorder. We have provided you with a printable, downloadable PDF of questions for you to review with your family doctor.